My name is Simon P.S. I have chosen to translate into English from the French the poem Personnage dans la banlieue by the poet Jacques Reda.
My name is Anna Turgel-Wilks and I translated a poem from Danish. The poem in question is called Natmaskinen or The Night Machine and is written by a Danish 1980s punk poet called Michael Strunge.
My name is Lupe Núñez Fernández and I've translated a poem from Spanish, Esta es la mano que cuida, by Maria Sanchez, a contemporary writer and field veterinarian.
And I chose this particular poem because of the sort of universal and youthful qualities of the poem that to me seem to have an inherent ability to put words to the experience of the younger generations and the so-called outsiders.
I chose to translate this poem in particular because I'm fascinated by the way it uses language and structure, presenting two lists of steps, like a kind of decalogue in two parts, to unsettle and subvert the reader's expectations.
I chose this poem because it really resonated with me, because of its poignant evocation of the life of a couple of refugees, many of whom I'm fortunate to meet through my work at the Ealing Food Bank.
Oh, I'm being rocked like on a steamer, a heavy express train through the darkness, flies up high in the night machine.
The title of the poem is This is the Good Steward, and it's by Maria Sanchez. I learned it like this. 1. Every tree is a group of organs that perform a function. 2. Every animal is a group of organs that perform a function. 3. Every element is a group of organs that perform a function.
You don't stop adding more and more things. Offices, houses, words. Silently, at life's centre, they start to weigh you down.
I'm Fiona Garrett.
My name is Shara Atashi and I translated a poem from Persian.
My name is Leo Boix and I translated a poem from Spanish.
And I chose this poem because of its lively lexis and because the narrative takes place in an all-female hammam. And I think that this intimate setting works particularly well to explore traditional femaleness.
It begins with the bird bittern, which has a specific symbolism in Persian fables. It is the bird of sorrow, and it is narrow-minded because it is always in fear that the water could disappear and it would die of thirst. But in translation, this fable renews itself.
I chose to translate this poem because I've always admired the work of Chilean poet and visual artist Cecilia Vicuña, a tireless activist working with environmental, ecological and the plight of indigenous peoples in the Andes and elsewhere in Latin America.
Notoriously noisy, Nezha casts a harsh look, babbles across the room. Her voice muffles the sound of rubber buckets banging, water breaking and the cries of baby girls with newborn skin who squirm in the wash basins.
Rain upon seashore is the eerie architecture of a heron when it flies down a cliff, drawing a slant line through the air, pecking at soaked sand with its graceless beak.
Only a collective gesture of love could stop the destruction. The cleared and burnt forests. The seed has waited all this time to seed.
My name is Jonathan Bastable and I translated a poem from Russian.
My name is Mark Fiddes. I have translated a poem from Catalan by the poet Miguel Martí i Pol. It's called Ara Mateix, which translates as right now.
Hi, I'm David McCallum and I translated a poem from French. The poem I translated was called Diasporante by the Afro-feminist poet Kiamis.
This poem caught my eye because it's set in Brighton, which is where I live and where I am now, below the cliffs.
I first came across it online. It was recited by the current manager of Manchester City Football Club, Pep Guardiola. But he used to read it to his players at FC Barcelona.
What I really liked about this poem was the way it lays bare the human condition of dislocation, but doesn't dwell exclusively on its inevitable pain.
The corrugated sea rattles its surf against the shore, scattering long spikes of ultramarine.
Woman dispersed, a vagabond wandering between different worlds in a universe of barricades. Woman digressed, redraws the borders, rewrites the margins, discovers the Mother Earth, nostalgia of feeling she knows only too well.
Right now, I am going through this needle's eye with a quiet thread of purpose, invisibly mending. None of the miracles predicted by all the celebrated tricksters have yet appeared as the years pass by so quickly.